I'm on the road again. I'm on the way back to my hometown to see my parents. It's the day after Thanksgiving, so sometimes we have to do that because of scheduling or whatever, So I'm just going to go back and visit for a few hours, and there you are. And I thought I'd kill some time here with a little vlog. I was reading an op-ed in The Advocate by Scott Herman of Scott Herman Fitness, who I watch on YouTube all the time. He's sort of like the gym teacher you wish you would have had. He's absolutely great, very inclusive. He's all about fitness, and he's all about making your life a little bit not easier, but easier, I guess, but making your life more healthy, and that's a good thing. And I take a lot of tips from him in my own workout, and he's a great guy. And he was writing a story, or an op-ed, on bullying, and it's very good. And he was basically talking about how it ended up is that he made friends with someone who did bully him, and I was thinking about that in my own life, and remembering back when I was a kid. I had some very bad times with bullies in grade school and in high school. But there was one guy that I have to mention who started out being kind of a bully towards me, but I kind of wondered if he wasn't just kind of going with the flow, He, kind of would, if anyone was around, he would call me names or something like that. But there was one time where it was a noon lunch hour. I remember this distinctly, how we actually met. I was at one of the stores in my hometown, which, my hometown's very, very small. So there was no specific place where you bought records, which I know, not CDs at that time, records. And so there was like a couple of stores that sold records. And one I was at happened to be like one of the little dime store things that we had. And it was lunch hour, and sure enough, he came in with one of his friends, and and was calling me names and doing the stuff that bullies do, and that type of thing. But I happened to be looking at a record. I want to say it was a Rod Stewart album, and I can't remember the name of it offhand, but I remember the cover in my head, Rod sitting in a chair. But at any rate, I think that's what I was looking at. I'm not too sure. But we ended up starting talking. I kind of mustered up the courage to actually get beyond the fact he was calling me names, and kind of looking at the fact that he was interested in music. He was picking up albums or whatever. And I'm sure I spouted off what I knew, because, if there's one thing I know, it's music. And I'd tell him about this, or this, that, and that, or, what albums to buy and that type of thing. And he did. And eventually we became friends. In fact, we became very good friends. And he didn't shun me or anything else in the hallway. I think he was popular enough where he didn't have to really worry about that kind of thing, where he could actually be friends with anyone and no one should say anything or whatever. I'm sure maybe, they're kind of wondering, why are you being friends with Braniff, or whatever, But whatever, he was still, said hi in the hallways and things like this. And we got together an awful lot and talked about music and what new albums we bought and things like this. We hung out an awful lot and talked about everything, our lives, what's going on, sex, the whole 9 yards, whatever you talk about when you're a teenager. And I'm very, very grateful for that friendship. I think that friendship and my art teacher, actually, back then, and maybe a couple other friendships from some of the other grades, definitely kept me sane. I think there was one or two girls, actually, too, that I was friends with in my grade that actually kept me sane. And thank God for them. But really, this one guy, I can't say enough about him, because he really made my high school years bearable, and that was great. The only the thing about it is as far as my the whole bullying thing went, I did get transferred to another grade school when I was in grade school. I met this guy in high school, but back when I was in grade school, I was getting, really, really badly bullied. And so my parents pulled me out of the school I was going to and actually transferred me to a school across town. And our town is small, but for a little kid, that's like, another country is what I was in. And I did what I later on did in high school, in college. But what I did in grade school, in my 5th and 6th years, is I kind of reinvented myself. These were all new kids. They knew nothing about me, so I could be who I was. And these guys, these people in my 5th and 6th grade, including the teachers, were absolutely wonderful. I can't say enough good about that particular time in my school years too, as 5th and 6th grade. They were absolutely wonderful. I had lots of great friends, and they were fun to be around, and I looked so forward to recess and things like that, which I never looked forward to in my other grade school. I just dreaded recess, for God knows what was going to happen to me. But recess at this school was, couldn't wait to get out there and be with the guys and having a good time. It was wonderful, and my grades went through the roof. For me, through the roof. I went from like D's and F's. I went up to like B's and A's and things like this, things I never thought were possible. But there they were, 5th and 6th grade, 6th grade especially, because then I started coming into my own. And the sad bit about it was, of course, I had to go to the high school. We only had one high school at the time. And of course, ended up back with the kids who made my life a living hell, and my grades went right down the shitter again. And so, and it was like that until I graduated. But those two, that one friend of mine, a few other friends as well, in high school, and in my 5th and 6th grade. The thing about it is, also, I know I'm getting long here, but one thing I found myself gravitating towards in 5th and 6th grade, and even in my high school years, was I gravitated not, obviously towards the bullies. There's a difference between bullies and bad boys. I mean, bad boys can be bullies, but oftentimes I found that bad boys sometimes weren't bullies, and they were just kind of tough guys, kind of bad boys, and that type of thing. And I loved them. I loved them to pieces, and there was a lot of bad boys in my 5th and 6th grade years, and I really had a good time with those guys. They were sweet, they were wonderful, they had hearts of gold, but they were kind of bad boys, but that was all right. And I think maybe that's why I gravitate towards bad boys now, because I always had kind of a crush on the bad boys back then. They were very nice guys, I thought, and they just had a bad streak, but so what? They were nice, and and maybe that's why I kind of gravitate towards bad boys now. Haven't found one yet, but hopefully I'll find somebody who's not really bad, but just has a little bit of a adventurous streak. But at any rate, so yeah, there you are. I just had to say that because the Scott Herman thing reminded me of it, and so there you are. And so, talky blog as it is, I guess I'll probably talk to you later, and there you are. Have a good one, and off to my hometown I go.